Plan recently signed a contract, an agreement with CIDA to develop African grassroots economic security through what we call our PAGES program, promoting African grassroots economic education and skills. It will be taking place in 7 countries, 7 African countries: Ethiopia, Rwanda, Ghana, Mali, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Tanzania. In total, about 200,000 people, most of them children and youth and young adults, will participate in this program that's designed and targeted at providing education, technical and vocational training, and financial services, the full range of financial services: loans, savings, microfinance products like microinsurance, micromortgages, etc. The basic building blocks of financial independence for everyone, regardless of where we live. Household poverty is the single biggest factor in our minds in preventing children from realizing their rights to education, to food, and to health care. Poor households are the least equipped to weather the impact of economic shocks, whether global or local, such as a wage earner's death, unexpected medical expenses, or the loss of productive assets when natural disasters occur. Poverty forces families to liquidate their household assets. And household assets in a developing household, in a developing country household, is their capital assets. And it makes recovery almost impossible. When cattle have to be sold, or plows have to be sold, etc., it forces parents to make heartbreaking decisions to withdraw children from school, and to make very life and death choices around healthcare or not healthcare, whether to move down the road and invest in the bus fare or whatever to get to the local health clinic. Falling into poverty in childhood can last a lifetime. Rarely does a child get a second chance at education if education is withdrawn, and very seldom the capacity for capital and credit will be far greater than a woman who, as a head of a household with children, must be a more conservative borrower. I believe that we're going to actually get more economic activity when we work with young people. And our track record in Africa working with young people with PLAN is, in fact, they're highly bankable. And so we're counting on that, and we're counting on it, in fact, accelerating economic growth and activity. So the PAGES program will support these youth, both young men and young women, with very targeted assistance for technical skills training and with access to credit and to capital. And women and girls will also be targeted, as Michael and the minister said, since we know that increasing women's access to economic development skills will have a multiplier effect. It won't only affect her, it will affect her household, and it will affect the lives of her children. The 3 components of the PAGES program: enhancing income and employment generation skills within households, especially for youth and adult women, promoting access to and use of savings and capital and credit, and improving children's access to quality education, are targeted and with a mission and an objective for increasing employability for people like SNC-Lavalin, but also in terms of generating a range of businesses, small, medium, and large, which is fundamental. We know that every successful economy in the world, and that will have to include Africa, has a range, a spectrum of economic and business activities, from micro to small to medium to large, local and global.
Suppliers that are competent. When we arrive in a country, that's what we look for, is that it'd be much too expensive, frankly, to bring a whole bunch of Canadians out to Madagascar or somewhere else in Africa where we work. We really need the people locally to be part of what we do. And so I think that CIDA's economic growth strategy today is absolutely so important to us, because it lays that, as you said, Ms. Rhoda, that foundation to create that capability locally. Because that then becomes the resources that we need to be able to deliver the economic development that we bring when we build the project. So I also want to talk about a little bit the We Care values that we espouse at SNC-Lavalin. We are something that we have developed now in the past 7 or 8 years. It talks about safety, health and safety of our people. It talks about taking care of the environment. It talks about the quality of the work that we do, because again, you only have one opportunity to show that you can contribute, and your reputation is tied up with that. We have, we need to work with the communities that we work in and again, that's part of the, the Canadian brand. It's part of what the partnership and the complementarity between what CIDA does, and we have Rosemary here from Plan also, which is an NGO. And really when we think about it, the private sector, the NGOs and CIDA and the Canadian government really are working hand in hand to make a difference. And again, it makes a whole lot of business sense for SNC-Lavalin. I want to talk to you a little bit about a project that we did in Madagascar, which I think is kind of indicative of what can be done. Shared SNC-Lavalin and some partners, some international partners, are in the process of finishing actually a major investment there. It's called the Amitobi project. It's a nickel mine. It's about a $5 billion investment. It's the biggest investment Madagascar has ever received. And but I think that the interesting and what I want to talk to you about a little bit is about how we went about contributing to the economy and contributing to the development of the local community. And again, it was out of a sense of doing the right thing, but also it made a whole bunch of business sense. So we, in the process of building that project, have trained about 10,000 Malgache. We have, and they all got jobs in the project. And now that the project is going to go into the operating phase, a lot of them will get jobs during the operations, which is again very, very important. But we also placed, through some strategies, about $800 million worth of procurement in the local economy. And if we had done our traditional way of making it into $100 million packages where we kind of, have the problem, we kind of delegate the problem to someone else, that would not have worked because there was not the capacity locally to take on a $100 million piece of our project. So what we did was we split it up to much smaller little units, and we in fact even accompanied the suppliers and the subcontractors in helping them write the proposals to us, because we realized that they never had done that kind of thing. And so we contributed in our small little way to the capacity of those companies that were working for us locally. We even encouraged them to make business plans, because once the project is over, they need to sort of lever off of that and take advantage of what they've learned and their involvement in it to be able to continue. And maybe you look at some export markets from where they are. Makes a whole bunch of sense. One of the things that was very close to my heart, which I think is, was emotionally very important for me also, is that it's a story of, we decided that as we were building the mine, of course, mines mean moving a lot of ground, and it does create erosion. And one of the things that we discovered is that there was a local producer, a woman, who was making bamboo carpets. And those bamboo carpets ended up being the ideal thing to use to lay down and stop the erosion when the rains came and so on and so forth. And there was one woman and she had a couple of kids helping her. By the middle of the project, she had 30 other women working for her, producing these carpets. So, it's just a matter of getting organized and valuing what's already there. But again, I think the important part of what CIDA's announced today is that it is going to be the upstream groundwork that needs to be done so that when we do come in and do our own contribution, what we know how to do best, a lot of the capacity building has already started. And yes, we can continue to do it. That's part of our mandate, to continue that capacity building and the way we get organized to do these projects. And it is, as I said before, part of the SNC-Lavalin brand. It's part of the Canadian